Hello, everybody. Welcome to another outstanding episode of HazChat. I'm Bob Koshik Nano, one of your co-hosts with I'm not going to say it today.
Your co-conspirator in this journey of hazmat mischief.
Oh, I love it.
I'm Derek Shawman. Good morning,
I
Bob.
love it. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So before we get started, Derek and I talk a lot of stuff beforehand, and this is work. We just don't jump in here. Well, maybe sometimes we do just jump in here. Um, but I had an interesting thought today. And I wanted
Uh-oh.
this can be a firehouse discussion. This can be a discussion around your regular home with your family. This is very important and crucial to everyday life. What side is a toilet paper supposed to be? Coming off the top or coming out from the bottom?
Oh, geez, I hear the cat people now jumping into the comment section explaining why they have to put toilet paper on the wrong way.
So this has been a discussion in the firehouse for years. It's definitely discussion in my house. Um, so it's something that popped in my head earlier this morning, obviously. So you know what? When you go to like and subscribe, why don't you drop in a comment whether you think the toilet paper should come off the top or feed out from the bottom?
Well, let's be honest. We're talking to firefighters. We know that toilet paper roll is going to be placed
Sitting right next to it.
vertically on top. So technically, it's going to come off the side. So is it supposed to come off the left or the right? Is
Yeah,
really what we're asking.
yeah. It's
Because we
almost
know you're not putting it back on the holder.
it's almost like my senior man Dan Hancock used to take a tape measure from the sink to the dishwasher was 30 inches. And if you work in a firehouse, everybody knows what I'm talking about. You can't move something 30 inches from the sink and put it in a dishwasher. All right.
Well, they should have put the dishwasher at 29 inches from the sink, and then guys would have done it.
Oh, good
30 was
God.
too much. 29 was just right.
Yeah, it's just right. Yeah, I just thought
Uh,
I'd throw that in there this morning before we get going.
yeah, so we'll jump into our topic for today, which is something that just like the which side of the toilet paper should you be pulling off of, something everyone I think can relate to, which is routine calls that we go on all the time. They're very simple. We've got muscle memory on it and completely routine
Yep.
until they're not routine.
So not routine. So we're talking about hidden hazards, and we're going to come back with more right after a little tidbit from our sponsors. Hey, HazChat listeners, looking to boost your skills? Check out respondertraining.com. They've got top-notch responder training and essential tools like their 1-inch propane and CNG flare-off kits, water injection tools, and much more. Train smart, stay safe, and excel in the field. That's respondertraining.com. Enhance your hazmat training with Signal, the most realistic gas detection training on the market. For under $100, you can simulate any detection combination from handheld meters to fixed location monitors, and even confined space scenarios with their universal pump attachment. Signal delivers unlimited range and detector combinations trusted by top teams around the world. Visit signalapp.com or download the app now. Signal, unlimited range, unlimited possibilities. In Our Gear products, built by first responders for first responders. In Our Gear delivers innovative, field-tested tools for every level of hazmat response. The ZMAT card empowers ops-level responders to set the initial tone with quick, easy-to-use hazard identification. The ArcLaw line boosts efficiency for technicians in the hot zone, and the WIMS board enhances command competence from behind the steering wheel. Trust in Our Gear, where reliability meets response. InOurGear.net. And we're back, just like that. So,
Magic.
it is movie magic. So as we talked about, we're mentioning hidden hazards, real dangers behind everyday calls. And one of the things is a lot of people think, oh, this is nothing. And 10 minutes later, you're knee deep into some kind of hazmat scene or some kind of operation, right?
Yeah, it's everyone's, if you've been in the fire service for any amount of time, you've had that call you went to, whether it was a an odor, a fire alarm, a vehicle fire, a small fuel spill that was called in, and then when you got there, you're like, this isn't what I was going to. I went to it thinking one thing, and maybe even when you got there, it's still lined up with that. But then as you're on scene, it starts to change. So that's where that routine call becomes less routine. And can you identify and can you adapt to that? And ultimately, can you keep yourself and the public safe?
Right. So let's start with the mindset. Every firefighter said it's just another car fire, right? That's the trap. So,
Hmm.
when repetition kills our alertness, because, oh, it's the same old BS, same old BS. And, that's what kills us. That's what gets us hurt.
Yeah, you jump on autopilot. Depending on how your department functions, I know for us, you had tool assignments. So you're in your mindset, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to grab this tool, I'm going to go, and I'm going to do this, and it's one of those things that sometimes you have to take into account that the world is not fitting in the box that we've created. Things change, and a lieutenant that I had the pleasure of working under for a little while. He gave me a lot of really good information throughout my career that helped me form my tactical approach to things. Uh, Assigned to the truck company at Station One, and I'll go ahead and I'll throw his name out there, Lieutenant Griner. Uh, Fantastic. He would
Good
always
dude.
make his
Good dude.
guys on. Yeah, good guy. He always made his guys on the truck keep their gloves off, and the gloves were the last thing he had them put on. And his idea was, you're ready to go, you're ready to do all these things. That little bit of time it takes for you to put your gloves on slows you down and gives you a second to kind of look at things and see, is what I'm going to what I think I'm going to? Is there
Right.
something that doesn't look right? Because you can put your gloves on without looking at them. We all have hands. We were born with them and kind of know how they work. Hopefully, we all have hands. Um, but taking that time while you're putting your gloves on to just kind of size up a building, to kind of look at the vehicle entrapment that you're going to do cutting on, looking at whatever you're going to, it bought time.
Exactly. And that the dangerous part of this too is, when you get experience, you can be blinded, right? You get comfortable, and the enemy is kind of the awareness, right? So you're not 20-year guy. Sitting there, done that, got the t-shirt, whatever. And that's the one who's going to end up getting in trouble, because you're not looking at all these other things that are happening. So, you know, comfort really is the enemy of awareness.
Yes, yeah, and it's the misnomer is we sometimes we think of things as routine calls, and just to play semantics, I'll flip that around. Instead of thinking of as routine calls, what we should have is call routines. We have a way that we approach calls, but we can't assume that the call is going to be routine. That's always going to present itself that way. So, you just, we can't get to that point that we aren't paying attention to what it is we're going into. Like where we're just making a lot of assumptions. I've been to this building 10 times in the last 3 months. So I know exactly where this is. I know exactly what this problem is. And, you get it. One of the ones I see crews get it the most with is AFAs. They go back to the same building all the time, and it's the elevator lobby smoke detector. So then they start going to the call, assuming it's the elevator lobby smoke detector. And, we have to make sure we don't get that complacency and not approach it as, we may be going to a fire. We may be going to a hazardous materials release. We may be going to a entrapment. It has to always be starting with, what do we have? And then the routine is the routine of how we approach and evaluate a call, not trying to put every call into a box.
Yeah, and I've got a good one for mechanical alarms coming up later that personally happened to me. I couldn't agree more. So that's why we're calling this a hidden hazards, because they hide behind complacency. So let's kick it off. Garrett, take it away.
All right, so let's go with an easy one. It's also making a lot of rounds in the world of hazmat and fire, vehicle fires. So one of the most common things we have, most of your fire academies have a vehicle fire prop, which completely in no way simulates an actual vehicle fire because it's propane fed. versus being liquid fed. Unless you're dealing with propane or CNG vehicles, it's really not realistic to what we would do. But it's also one of the most underestimated fires that we go to.
Right. Things that involve, rolling chemical plants between lithium ion batteries, airbag inflators, diesel exhaust fluid, hybrid systems. You're dealing with multiple stored energies resources. And these things are getting worse and worse. I should say worse and worse, but they're more prevalent in today's society.
Yeah, and when Bob's talking about rolling chemical plants, for those of you younger listeners who may not have been around during the height of the methamphetamine production that was going on, um,
What?
I'm I'm pretty sure that Bob and I both had those where it was a traffic stop
Oh
that
yeah.
ended up being a mobile meth lab in the trunks of vehicles. So
Yep.
it, vehicles are tough because they're coming from anywhere. Someone just went to Home Depot and picked up all their stuff, and it's all in the back. So, um, lithium batteries, those are an issue. That's a technology that is really getting out there more and more, and the technology has become prevalent faster than our ability to address the concern. So, everyone's seen the videos, they've heard the discussions, probably had classes about the fact that these can reignite hours, maybe even days after the initial suppression. So you're thinking it's out, you start packing up, getting everything done, and the next thing you know, you're getting a call out to the tow yard because this thing's lit off again, or even worse, it's lit off while on the back of the flatbed being towed, and now you've got a vehicle fire that's going down your interstate. Those are some challenges that take it out of being routine.
Yeah, and the one of the things that people don't really, it hasn't gotten a lot of attention, but it should still get plenty of attention. And this has been going on for years. Is those inflators, those airbags? A
Hmm.
personal story for me. My wife worked for another agency for 20 years, and had pulled up on an auto accident. It just happened. The airbag deployed, and there was still that that mist, that haze in the inside the car. That sodium azide that was helps with that propellant and everything. It's floating around in the air. Well, they're not sure if it's because it was summer and July humidity, because it gets hot and we sweat a lot here. Um, if the moisture on her skin combined with that sodium iodide caused holes to eat in through her shirt. So it was
Oh
like she
wow.
had been exposed to acid and, like drops. It almost looked like somebody took a pipette and dropped acid all over her shirt. And they think that was from the deployment of the airbag. So, you're poking around and all of a sudden it detonates. That, you're dealing with compressed gas under, I mean, extreme pressure. And that's why, a lot of people, we used to talk about putting backboards in between the patient and the steering wheel, and whatever we could to protect in case that thing does go off, just from us moving around trying to get to the patient, let's say, or extrication or what have you.
Yeah, and I've heard stories, and you've probably seen them, and we were trained on it about, uh, airbag inflators that start to cook off after the overhaul process. So, where we're now maybe assisting the tow company with getting the vehicle prepped, or maybe grabbing personal belongings out that might still be salvageable. And, there's instances of these things sending metal fragments going through the windshield, hitting trucks, hitting firefighters. And, you have to think about it like, it's the small things can get you. If you miss the small things, or you let your level of awareness down, it can get you.
Yeah, and that's why we tell our students to treat every car fire like a hazmat until you prove otherwise. Because use meters, watch your smoke, control your airflow, what have you. There was just an incident. I'm not sure how recent it was, but it was in Sacramento where the guys had a EV fire, and I think it was 4 or 6 of them ended up going to the hospital because of the smoke produced from these batteries. The accident hit so hard that they had a few batteries out on the roadway, and one of them actually lit off just spontaneously, and then eventually, from what I understand, the main battery pack itself, if you will, finally went into runaway, several minutes, if not longer. But we had first responders exposed to something. So you want to try to control as much of that airflow as you can, stay upwind and so forth.
Yeah, and just we have to think about cars differently. They're not
Right.
ordinary construction buildings. You got people who, whether it's like we're talking about here, the EVs a little bit, and we're talking about the airbag systems, all those things. But I mean, you've got hobbyists out there that are doing things like uh, hydrogen powered, where they're doing their own electrolysis to
Yeah.
create hydrogen and adding on kits that they bought on Amazon and all these things. It's we don't know what the byproducts are going to be of these things, and the hazards there. We know that there's tons of chemicals in that vehicle just by the way that it's designed. All the hydrocarbons, the refrigerants, all those things, plus the materials are made out of. It's a hazmat call. You are on a hazmat call when you're on a car fire. Be smart
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. And two, something I forgot to mention is make sure, everybody pulls that 100-foot bumper line. Okay. I would say now, well, first off, you do it because quite honestly, you're lazy. Let's be very blunt.
Mhm.
Or as we say in class, you're lazy, right? Consider start pulling 150 or 200-foot pre-connect. Yeah, it's a little longer. Oh my God, you got to load an extra 100-foot of hose or whatever. Big deal. But you're giving yourself some distance from this stuff. It's not like we're getting right on top of it anymore and putting the fire out real quick. They're not going
Yeah.
out real quick for a reason, fellas and gals. There's a reason why they're not going out real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
And you're buying your pump operator distance because most likely they're not using SCBA.
Exactly.
So, depending on the direction of the wind, those things, it might not seem like a lot, but 50 feet of distance, that's 50 feet of dissipation of toxic chemicals.
Right. Right. So, let's talk about another little hidden gem: dumpster fires, odors, and my favorite bug bomb story. So now here's where it gets real. So the calls we think are harmless, dumpster fires, odor investigations, or little mechanical alarms, these things, they're not as harmless. I mean they are harmless. They are not harmless. Sorry, too much coffee this morning. I remember fighting dumpster fires with no mask on and just a booster line, and all up in
Yeah.
it like an idiot. I was young and
Hmm.
stupid. I didn't know any better. So
It helped you identify what was in the trash. You could smell it easier.
yeah, yeah. So
Well, and
good.
and we had an issue where we had a bunch of dumpsters downtown that started lighting off, and we found out that there was a reason for that later on.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
But I know Bob's got a bug bomb story that he wants
yeah,
to share with all of you.
this
It's,
is
it's one of his favorite
it's one of
stories.
my
So
favorites, especially being the hazmat lieutenant that I was at the time. Um, Derek and I, and some of you might have heard this story in our classes as we travel around the country, but this is where you get complacent, like we talked about before. A simple mechanical alarm, a nightclub that Derek and I have both been to many, many, many times. And you look through the window, it looks like smoke from the fog machine. It's 3 a.m. Oh, damn it. Here we go again. Get the Knox box key, open it up, walk in, and boom, it hits me right in the face. My tongue starts tingling. My lips are tingling. They had put out about 20 some odd bug bombs. And I walked into
Mhm.
it because I was complacent because we've been there over and over at 3 a.m. on weekends because they left their stupid fog machine on and it tripped the mechanical alarm. So that's a complacency thing that hit me. And mind you, I'd been a hazmat lieutenant for a number of years and just a lieutenant for a number of years. And that goes back to what we said earlier. The longer you're on, in my opinion, I think you're more complacent.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, and let's call it what it is. I mean, you were going to that call, and it was a routine call. It was a
Yeah.
nuisance call.
Yep.
It's one that we'd gone to. I'd been to that same facility for the exact same thing, and so we're thinking, no, it's going to be an easy in, easy out, until it wasn't. So you walk into there, and now you're dealing with, who knows? You got flammable vapors, you got different chemicals, pyrethrins, phosphates, all sorts of things in the air, and with that structure, there was zero air movement. So it's just settled. It's sitting there. So things are based off densities. They're sitting in different places. They're just waiting for you. and it's kind of like you got ambushed.
Oh yeah, yeah. We arrived on scene. No visible smoke, no odor outside. Did our normal stuff and opened the door and boom, got punched in the face with a chemical fog. Good times.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, it becomes one of those that you just have to think about. There's that hidden hazard there. It's a nuisance call. It's a harmless call, but it can have real world consequences, and you don't get to hit reset. It's not Mario. You don't get your 3 lives and you just start back over. Like you've only got one chance to do it there. You have to think about what are the real life chemical implications of all the calls that we're going on, because it's not less hazmat that we're being exposed to, it's more.
Yeah, and absolutely. And what we need to do is we need to stop it and assess before committing. I think we run in way too much. Don't assume it's just because there's no smoke, there's no danger. We need to slow up a little bit. It's great to be aggressive, but you also got to be smart.
Yeah, and it's like we kind of hit on there for a second. Dumpster fires. There was a period where we were running dumpster fires pretty much every shift, multiple dumpster fires in downtown, and approaching those dumpster fires without a sharp mindset and just saying, it's just some trash that lit off. Someone threw a cigarette in there. Well, you don't know, and you don't want to be stirring that up, and you're breathing in this toxic cocktail, because what we found out was it was a local pharmaceutical facility, street pharmaceutical, that was disposing of their waste in our public dumpsters all around, because I don't want that meth product in my trash can where people are going to notice it. So you just drive around downtown, dump it into random dumpsters. Well,
oh yeah,
chemical reactions recur, things light off, and we're going to it. Dumpster at, I don't know, newspaper facility, where you're like, the products they got there, it's a lot of paper, cardboard, things like that. Well, no, that someone dumped something there that wasn't from that business. You can't assume, based off the occupancy, that a dumpster is going to have what that occupancy has. Bob and I were just teaching a class here in Florida where concern was a dumpster that was significantly overfilled at a firehouse, and
right.
It wasn't overfilled by the firefighters. It was kind of an out of the way spot, and random people in the community just dump stuff there because sometimes it's easier than having to pay or having to deal with it, and no one's asking you what you dump at 2 a.m.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And or the odor of gas. Call. I love those. Really, we're captain from a propane leak. Every one of these starts out as small until it isn't. So again, just don't be complacent. Wear the proper PPE. Do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that is the way that we catch this. Like, and that's the thing here. We'll talk about, some tools and tactics. We're not telling you anything new, but just a little nugget to put in the back of your brain to make you think about these routine calls a little bit differently. So how do we catch these things before they catch us and put us in the hospital, put us off the job, put us in a bad spot?
Yeah, don't skip the basics. Upwind approach, scene zones, PPE appropriate for the unknown, right? Even though I hate using that term, we know something, solid, liquid, or gas, right? You can always downgrade, but you can't take exposure back. And that's the big takeaway here. So wear this proper stuff in the beginning, and then if you need to, you can change what's going on or what you're wearing.
Yeah, and this is where one of the main Achilles heels that we always hear about in the fire service comes, whether it's from the administrative side or the field operations. Communication is always the underlying factor in why things don't work the way they're supposed to. So when you're on this call and you're getting information, communicate back what you're finding, what you're seeing. Make sure if it's a multi-company response, the incident commander knows what's going on. If not, make sure you're updating your dispatch center so that they know what's going on. Communicate to them what your actions are, what needs you may have. And it's going to enhance the awareness of the scene, especially if you've requested an additional resource. You said, hey, we need more than what we've got. the more information that you gave to your dispatch center, the more that resource is coming in with an idea of where to start. And, on these routine calls, if something doesn't seem right, doesn't walk like a duck, talk like a duck, ducks don't talk, they quack. If something's just not right, doesn't look, talk, and walk, err on the side of precaution.
Yeah,
Do what's best for you, your crew, and the public.
and just a couple quick things before I start talking about tools. If you don't have a set size up, radio report, here's something for you. This was taught to Derek and I and a lot of people from senior chiefs. What do you got? What are you doing? What do you need? You say those three things over the radio, you paint a really good picture as to what the hell's going on. And as far as what do you got, if I see, and we've mentioned this on other shows, a tractor trailer with orange and white smoke, no. Is it smoke or is it a gas or vapor? And we've talked about this before. So make sure you use the right words: smoke, gas, vapor, what have you, because that's going to drive your tactics. But getting back to the topic at hand, use your tools, even for simple calls. A 4-gas meter, PID, pH paper, thermal imaging, it's not overkill. It's good practice if you have those tools available. A lot of first responders have that now. We teach our HazMat Ops Review class all over the place, and you'd be surprised at how many engine companies now have a little meter kit that have exactly that, a multi-gas meter and some pH paper. And of course, everybody should, by these days, have a thermal imaging camera. It's just good practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the multi-gas meter and the thermal imaging camera, they cost $0 to turn on.
Right.
The sensors and that multi-gas meter, they have a lifespan. It's being consumed whether you're turning it on or not. The tool doesn't do you any good if you don't use it. If you've got the tool, use it. So, those kinds of early actions, it's what's going to make the difference between you being a responder and you being a victim.
Yeah, and real quickly, I hate to harp on this, but I hate we didn't turn it on. Well, why didn't you turn it on? Well, because I'm not sure how to use it. You're at work for 24 hours. I know there's 5 minutes in a day that you can become more proficient on a tool that maybe you don't use every day. So that's something you probably should go over even more. Just throwing it out there, little kitchen table talk, something, whatever. So anyway, after 30 years of doing this, the lessons are simple. Every call has a hidden hazard. And our job's to find the hazard and hopefully do it in such a manner that we're protected, we're wearing the right PPE, and we're able to go home to our families.
Yeah, yeah, and to steal a little emphasis from Gordon Graham in his risk assessment model, slow down. I love when he says that. Slow down. You guys are taking meth. You need to try some heroin.
Not really, kids. Not really.
We want to think fast, but we also want to give ourselves some discretionary time to try to figure stuff out. You don't want to miss something that should have been there. We're not saying drag your feet. We're not saying don't be aggressive. Don't get in there and do things. We're just saying take a breath. Give yourself 3 to 5 seconds to kind of see what are you actually dealing with.
Yeah, it's like jumping off the truck and running to a fire or running. We don't run. You might do a little skip it or, hip hop or whatever it is you do. But, these are things, this is exactly why we built our training programs like our HazMat Operational Review and our Rapid Recon, is to help first responders read the scene, recognize red flags, and react with a purpose.
Yeah, and there's people out there that may be thinking, this won't happen to us because, I'm always got my head on a swivel, and I would have said the same thing, but there are those times, I'm sure Bob had the same thing, where you get back to the firehouse and it starts to sink in and you go, ooh, that could have gone bad. That could have gone bad. So, when you have those thoughts of, it's not going to happen to me, just think about Bob's bug bombs. Bob's bug bombs. We should. It sounds like we should start something about that. Bob's bug bombs.
That could be like a business. Ooh, triple B. I like it.
But I mean, you can't make that up. Like that's a real thing that happened, and it can have consequences. All these kinds of calls have consequences that can follow you around, and you know, it can happen to you. It
Yeah.
can, and our hope is that you slow down a little bit and think about it.
And I'll tell you what, after that, every simple alarm that I went to, I had with more respect. I was a young lieutenant, but still, um, that was just a dumbass moment that I had, and it's still, 30 some odd years later, I still remember like it was yesterday, and something that I didn't do again. I can assure you.
Yeah, well, and that's the takeaways. Complacency kills. There's a routine process to handling a call or to approaching a call, but there's no routine call. Every call, even if you've been there 3 times already that shift, you have to give it your full attention, because maybe that's the one where someone's drawing you in and they're trying to hurt you.
Right.
Or maybe, as much as we don't want to admit it, we missed something the first 3 times that we were there.
Oh yeah.
And now the problem is there and it's ready to bite. So, just take your time. Don't get lulled into the false sense of security of it's a routine call. It's not a routine call. It's a call that you've been on before. It's a call you've gone to, but every single time the dynamic can be different.
Yep, absolutely. Before we wrap up even more, let's remind everybody of some social media sites. Obviously, our Facebook page and YouTube channel, where you can see many of these Has Chats. Don't forget, we're on all the platforms now, so you can listen or watch them on YouTube. Again, like and subscribe. Coming out should be any time now. Hazards in Hindsight book. We just looked at the final draft the other day. So this should be out in the bookstores. We'll post a link in our social media feeds when it is fully ready. And of course, the websites that we have that we always talk about is, like I said, our company pages. HazMat Guys Roundtable, first Tuesday of every month, 8 p.m. Eastern. HazMat Group 2, HazMat Group, and Common Sense. All great places to get great information, and share stuff. People upload to download, or download to upload, whatever files. So it's a lot of good sharing out there, and that's what our community is always about.
Yeah, yeah, and like Bob said, it's all free stuff. Obviously we get around and we teach some classes and do things like that, but ultimately, if there's something that we can share for free, it's about getting out there and reaching people. So it's take advantage of it.
Please take advantage of it. So, Derek, thank you, my friend, once again. Everybody out there, please make sure you like and subscribe on whatever platform. We are now on TikTok, by the way. I forgot to mention that. So we are Instagramming it, we're Facebooking it, we're TikToking it, we're whatever.
Bob is doing dances. Go check it out.
Doing dances. Yeah. Yeah. You don't watch that, I might break another hip. So until next time, remember, when you're through learning, you're through, and stay safe. We'll see you.
See ya.